Time and change are the only two commodities every single human being has in common. It doesn't matter your race, your bank balance, your education, or where you were born. You woke up this morning with the same 24 hours as the wealthiest billionaire. And that's the great equalizer. Nobody starts their day with 25 hours, and nobody is walking around with 23 either. So why is it that two people can have the same 24 hours and one transforms their life in 5 years while the other wakes up after 5 years and realizes nothing has changed? The answer isn't time, it's management, it's planning. Most people live like time is their master. They roll into their days without any plan, and then they wonder why change keeps running them over. But let me tell you something, if you don't plan your hours will plan you. Life is like a quicksand for the unprepared. It doesn't ask for permission, it pulls and it swallows. And unless you learn to submit time to plan, you will keep feeling like you're busy but never productive. So here's the hard truth. You don't become what you dream about, and you don't become what you post about. You become what you do with your 24 hours. And that's it. Your life right now is a reflection of how you've been managing those hours over the last 5 years. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, because discomfort is a sign that change is possible. When you understand that your 24 hours is your greatest asset, you stop waiting for luck or a big break to save you. No one is coming. Time is already here and is sitting in your hands every morning you wake up. The question is, what are you doing with it? Every scroll on your phone is a withdrawal from your account. Every conversation that you entertain that doesn't build you is interest that you'll never get back. Every unplanned day is an open door for chaos to rearrange your future. And let me push this deeper. It's not just your schedule, it's your energy, your relationships, your habits. Everything you consume and give time to is building who you're becoming. So you can't escape the math. Unmanaged time guarantees an unmanaged life. But leaders, builders, and people who change their lives, they go pro. What do I mean by pro? I mean they stop treating their hours casually. They stop winging it. They stop hoping that things work out. They treat their calendar like oxygen. They know exactly when to inhale and when to exhale. They build boundaries that protect their hours like bodyguards at the door. Do you know why many people feel like life is slipping away? Because it is. Time has no mercy for the unplanned. If you don't decide what your day is for, your day will decide what you are for. And 9 times out of 10, it will be for distraction, for drama, and detours. And that's why professionals plan, not because they are control freaks, but because they know that planning is the only defense against wasted time. Planning is stewardship, and stewardship is what separates people who rise from people who stay stuck. I know you've probably heard the saying that people overestimate what they can do in a week and then underestimate what they can do in a year. The truth is, with a serious plan, you can live 5 years in one. And I mean it. Think about it. If you deliberately plan your days and you eliminate distractions, you cover ground in 12 months that most people won't in 60. And why is that? It's because most people scatter their energy across meaningless activities. But someone who plans and commits their hours with precision compounds effort. It's like compound interest on your future. And when you stack those planned days, weeks, and months, your timeline collapses. What takes the average person a decade, you've achieved it in 2 years. And that's not hype, that's the power of planning. You don't need more time, you need a plan that multiplies your time. Here is the truth most people don't realize. Time itself is neutral. It doesn't care who you are, but it bows to planning. Planning turns time from a tyrant into a servant. Without planning, time feels like an enemy. You're constantly behind, you're anxious, you're chasing. But when you plan, time bends, it aligns with you. Suddenly, you know exactly what to do when you wake up. You're not guessing, you're executing. Planning doesn't just tell time where to go, it trains you where to go. Because the real enemy isn't time, it's your own inconsistency. And planning is the weapon that eliminates inconsistency. A plan is proof that you're serious. And when you back that plan with commitment, time obeys. And that's why the scripture says, commit your plans to the Lord and they will succeed. Not your intentions, not your wishes, your plans. Because without them, time would default to waste. Here's another mind shift. Change is inevitable. Whether it builds you or breaks you, it depends on your planning. Change doesn't knock politely on your door. It kicks it down. The market shifts. Your job changes. Life changes. And if you've got no plan, change will roll over you. But if you do have a plan, change becomes your servant. Think of it this way. Wind can destroy a ship or carry it to its destination. What makes the difference? The sails. And your plan is the sail. Without it, you drift wherever the storms take you. But with planning, you harness the storm to move forward. People pray for stability, but they ignore the discipline of planning. That's like praying for harvest without planting seeds. No plan, no power. But a plan surrendered to God, that's unstoppable. Planning won't stop change from coming, but it will make change bow to your direction. Let me give it to you straight. If you walk into a day without a plan, you've already lost. Because every day comes with its distractions, requests, and sometimes emergencies just waiting to hijack you. You know, that meeting that should have been an email, that endless scroll, and the phone call that drags you into someone else's drama. So if you didn't decide beforehand what matters, you spend your whole day living for things that don't matter. Think about it. How many times have you ended your day exhausted only to realize that you didn't move an inch closer to your goals? And that's the cost of unplanned hours. They don't just waste time, they waste you. They dilute your purpose. They bury your potential under noise. But when you plan, you step into the day with authority. Suddenly, you're not reacting, you're directing. And then the chaos doesn't own you, you own it. Let's be real. Distraction is the greatest enemy of progress. And distraction doesn't look like an enemy. It looks like entertainment, comfort, or that 5 minutes that always turns into an hour. Planning is your weapon of war against distraction. Every time you plan your day, you are practically declaring, not today. I'm not giving my hours to dopamine, because planning is resistance training for your focus. Without it, distraction wins by default. Let me put it this way. The devil doesn't have to destroy you. He just has to keep you distracted. Because if he can waste your hours, he has already wasted your destiny. But when you plan and commit those plans to God, you raise a shield. Suddenly, you're not living at the mercy of your impulses. You're living with discipline. You're no longer tossed around by notifications. You're building a future hour by hour. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're doing too little, but because you're doing too much of the wrong thing. You're busy, but not effective. And that's the trap of unplanned living. Busyness is the world's counterfeit for productivity. It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something, while in reality, you're running in circles. And here's the brutal truth. If you don't plan your time, you always end up busy doing someone else's priorities. And that's why planning matters. It forces you to distinguish between your activity and your progress. Because between movement and momentum, without a plan, you confuse motion with meaning. Because when you plan, you get clear. You focus on what actually shifts the needle forward in your life. Planning kills the lie of business, and it forces you into intentional living. And intentional living is where transformation begins. You also need to understand that planning isn't just about time, it's about trust. Every time you plan your day and you follow through, you actually build trust with yourself. And that trust is confidence. Most people don't lack confidence because they are not talented. They lack it because they keep breaking the promises they make to themselves. For instance, they say, I'll wake up early, but they don't. They say, oh, I'll write a book, but they never do. But a plan executed daily is a contract between you and your future self. And the more you honor it, the more you begin to believe, I can depend on me. And that's what confidence is really about. It's not arrogance, it's quiet strength that comes from knowing that you will always show up for yourself. And planning is how you build that strength. You know the scripture that says, commit your plans to God and they will succeed. Notice it didn't say your dreams or your intentions. It says plans. Because God works through structure, order, strategy. And planning is a form of faith. It's saying, God, I believe in the future you've called me to. and I'm willing to steward today to get there. Faith without works, we all know, is dead, and works without planning is chaos. But when you plan and you place it in God's hand, you live with confidence, not because you know the outcome, but because you know that you have done your part. Planning is partnership with heaven. And the beauty of planning is that the results don't always show up immediately, but they compound. One planned day may not automatically change your life. 10 days might not either. But habits create identity. When you stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and you start realizing that you are actually now disciplined. To be realistic, planning isn't glamorous. Sometimes it even feels boring. Things like writing things down, sticking to your schedule, saying no when you'd rather say yes. But over time, those boring acts build extraordinary results. It's like planting seeds. You don't see the fruits the next day, but give it time, and suddenly there's a harvest. That's why planning matters. Not for the dopamine hit or feeling organized, but it's for the long-term fruits that only consistency can grow. This might sound backward, but planning doesn't trap you. It actually frees you. People resist planning because they think it limits their spontaneity. But the truth, unplanned living is slavery. That's being a slave to every notification, every mood, every random demand. Planning is what actually gives you your control back. Because when you plan, you choose what matters the most. You create space for what you love. You don't just drift into rest, sleeping anyhow. You schedule it. You don't just hope to spend time with your loved ones. You plan it. Freedom isn't the absence of structure. Freedom is the presence of structure that protects what is important. When you plan, you are not chained, you are liberated, because finally, your time reflects your values instead of your impulses. Let me warn you, planning is not a one-time event. It is a living document. If you set a plan and never review it, you will drift eventually. And that's why the most effective people audit their time. Every week, every month, every year, they ask what worked, what wasted my time, what do I need to adjust. A plan that is never refined is a plan destined to fail. You wouldn't drive your car forever without ever checking the engine. So why run your life that way? Audit your time, track your progress, adjust where necessary, because planning isn't perfection, it is iteration. Every review is a chance to align again with your purpose. Every tweak makes your plan sharper, and a sharper plan makes your future clearer. So if you're tired of being busy and not productive, tired of drifting, tired of wasting the same 24 hours that billionaires are multiplying, today is your wake-up call. Stop renting out your time to chaos. Stop living unplanned. Become a professional steward of your hours. Plan your days, commit them to God, and watch as time itself begins to submit to you. And that's the tip for today. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe for more tea, because every episode on this channel will help you adjust your crown as you rise higher in your ascent. And if you're ready to take action right now, you can watch my next video on how the top 1% plan differently. This will give you the practical tools to lock in and stay ahead. Don't miss it.